Basically, I'm going to introduce this by just saying we've got 3 old drag racers here, and we're going to be covering some photographs that Dick Lechien has, a great collection of photographs, and we're going to be going through these and recalling what we can about what's in the pictures and anything else these guys want to talk about. So this is, like I said, this is not a low-budget production. This is a no-budget production, but the main thing we want to do is we're looking to get what's out of the heads onto this tape so that we can hold on to that. Pictures will be with us for a long time to come. We want to make sure that what these guys' memories stay with us for a long time as well. So that's the reason why we're here. Okay, Dick, let's start off with what you have to start off with.
Well, probably should start at the beginning.
Okay.
And as maybe you don't know, but some people know, drag racing started in Santa Ana. It was the first drag race strip in California, first drag race strip in the world, actually. It was ran by C.J. Hart, and originally it was a rolling start. And Santa Ana operated for a short period of time, and then San Diego Timing Association, which was a bunch of Lakes guys and Bonneville guys, got a permission to use the abandoned airstrip at Paradise Mesa that was abandoned by World War II. They built it in World War II in case of emergencies. But anyway, they abandoned it, and they got permission to use that from the city. So the idea behind that whole thing was there was a lot of car clubs in San Diego, and they were going to have the car clubs all run it. And originally, the two main people behind Paradise Mesa
Could you hold that up a little higher so I can see it?
Red Leggett and Bozzie Willis. And Bozzie had a company in San Diego called Motor Menders, and he used to do all of the block repairs and crack repairs in San Diego all over the place. And Red Leggett put countless hours into doing this whole thing. And this is a program from 1955. It has all of the records in it. I had started going up there in early 1955 or late 1954, I don't remember. And was willing to work and started a car club of our own, which was called the Spring Valley Hornets. And we would share, each car club would have a different job every week. And they would get assigned a job up there, whether it was taking care of tech or entry or whatever it was. But the thing was mainly ran by car clubs, but as you probably realize that most organizations always have 2 or 3 people that do all the work.
Right.
And,
That's true.
And Bozzie Willis and the Red Leggett was those people early on. And then when they realized that I was willing to get involved and work with it, then they kind of ramrodded me into president of the thing. And I wanted to just show a couple pictures. This program is a December 1955 program, and it talks about Red Hensley. And this is a picture of Red Hensley's car. This was the fastest car in the world.
Put that up a little higher, please. Thank you. Right there is good.
At that time. And I think by the time Red was through with this car, it had ran 159 miles an hour. The main story behind this car is that
a little higher.
They put a young man in it one day up at Paradise Mesa, and this is after I was president of the association, by the name of George Barcoot. And George had driven cars in the Lakes and cars in Bonneville, but had never driven a car in a quarter mile. Anyway, for some reason, they put him in the car because he wanted to drive it. He made a pass and he didn't shut off at the quarter mile. He went off the end of the racetrack over 100 miles an hour and put this car into the back window of a 54 Chevrolet at about 130 or 40 miles an hour. And I went to the hospital with him. Every bone in his body was broken except his neck and his back. And it was an experience that a young man at 17 should never have to go through. But anyway, I went to the hospital with him, And he lived through it. I don't know how, but he lived through it. He ended up with one leg a little shorter than the other. And, you know, in those days, nobody sued nobody, so it was,
Yeah, right.
so it
Wow.
was, so it was just one of those accidents. And the second picture that I wanted to bring attention to is this picture that I got from Dominic. And it also mentions this car in this program was probably the first two-engine dragster
Check
ever
that
in
out.
existence. And it's the Bean Bandits car. And a lot of these fellows in here are
Just hold it steady,
Harold.
and I'm zooming in on it. So if you point to people and you want to talk to, say who
well,
they
this
are,
is
left,
Harold
right,
Miller, who Harold was also, he worked with a lot of us guys that throughout the years. This is Joaquin, Holly Hendricks. I can't remember some of these other guys, but anyway, that was the Bean Bandits was a very important part of San Diego Timing Association and Paradise Mesa. A funny story. The first night that I was president, we had a rule change. And we used to have our meetings at Davies Motors down in San Diego. And I bring the meeting to order, and in the back comes walking in Harold Miller, Joaquin Arnett, and Nagum. And they're big guys. They're older than I am. They're very intimidating. And they said, if you guys put that rule into effect, we're going to blow a hole in the middle of the drag strip. and ever since then, I try to remind Joaquin of that at one of their meetings, and he denied it. But anyway,
that's a beauty.
we'll
I
go
love
on.
those.
This was basically
Can you
1950.
Sit back, yeah, but go ahead and point to it. Let me get a good
Probably
shot.
1956. It says 55. It's probably 1956.
Right.
This was a car that was out of the Jumpin' Sticks Car Club in National City. And I ended up owning this car as years went by. And a minute ago I remembered his
Do you remember
name.
anything about it in terms of what was in it?
Well, it was a PBY strut car. In those days, a lot of cars were built with PBY struts as main frame rails. They were like a wing. They were shaped like a wing.
Oblong, yeah.
And that was the main thing that in those days that we used. And this car had a PBY strut main frame rail, and as you can see, they didn't have a tubing bender, so they just built a square roll bar.
Right.
KD8.
Excellent.
And there's
Excellent.
another picture of it. And I think I'm gonna pass this because I'm gonna go into some other stuff here. This is a little bit out of sequence.
Okay, that's fine. But anything you remember is great.
This is the coupe that I raced in those days, and I ran 102 with this car.
Okay.
And
Do me a
we
favor
had-
and put the pages down and don't move them because the reflection makes them flutter, and it'll help if you
This
just.
was a 33 Plymouth coupe that I originally dated my wife with, and I stripped it and put roll bars in it and put a seat in it. It had a plywood floorboard in it. I originally had a Plymouth 6 in it. It ran 7507 with Plymouth 6, and that was probably in 54. And I borrowed this flathead from Dean Key and Jim Blaylock, and it was a 3/8 by 3/8 flathead. We had to borrow a magneto when we go to the drag strip because we didn't own a magneto, and we would race it, and it was on fuel. We ran nitro. I think we ran 25% nitro, and that's how I learned to build nitro carburetors in those days.
And that lady that was in the picture, was that anybody that we
She
know?
was just a trophy queen that was there at
Okay.
the show.
Okay. Very fine.
And this is just some more pictures of the same show. This is Don Menard's car, who Don actually, later on I'll get to that.
So-
He ran the drag strip at Paradise Mesa the years when it was closed.
Okay.
And